Hey, hello guys, welcome back again to my channel. It's Kasim. So the title of this is Are Degrees in Business Management or International Business Worthwhile? Are they worth doing? That was the question. So I wanted to answer that. I wanted to give my perspective on this and I hope you can find it useful. Hi guys, my name is Kasim and welcome back again to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. So I saw that question online about this guy who was asking, it was from the student forum, and he was asking about this business degree. I've lived life a little bit. I've spoken to a lot of people who are successful, who've been a failure, who've had incredible lives, and so I can probably give a little bit of advice. I'm not an expert, but I hope in some way it can add value to the quality of your life if you are in the same position. But if before we get to that, guys, if you want to help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June, please can you like and subscribe to my channel? You'd be an absolute legend. So let me read you what he put. So he basically put, I messed up my A levels and got a BDD. So I have to apply through clearing. Would a degree in either business management or international business be worthwhile or pointless? What careers are available after degree completion? Which I thought was a really interesting question. So I went and did some research for you, and let me give you a list of the kinds of careers that you can do. Firstly, let's begin where. So if you end up graduating with a degree in business management or international business, you can become a business development manager. You could become an analyst or researcher. You could, of course, become an entrepreneur. You could be a HR business partner. You could be a business consultant. You could be a HR recruiter. You could be a customer service associate. You could be an accountant, an account executive. So basically, in turn, there's a lot of things that you can do. But I want you to note something which I think is really important. Notice that all of these careers and all of these jobs are all people related. They're not customer facing. All of the roles are all they're all people related, meaning that if you are somebody who likes to do sales and sell to people and sell and deal with the general public, a lot of your work isn't going to be with them. Unless obviously you get into like recruitment management, you're then going to be dealing with obviously new recruits to a company. But my point being is if you're like somebody who enjoys being on the sales floor, you enjoy that kind of environment, then working in this kind of sector or this kind of area, a lot of your time is going to be spent with people on one-to-one basis, which obviously means that you are going to have to be the kind of person who enjoys being around people. You're going to have to develop, if you don't already have the ability to get on with people instantly, to connect with people, to build a rapport with people instantly, then I would encourage you to do that. In fact, if you haven't, there's a really good book that you can start off called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a really, really good book. It's kind of a foundational book that can teach you about how to build rapport, how to win friends, basically. And then from there you can grow. But I just wanted to start off by saying, clearly, all of these jobs are all people related. Now, there are some jobs, like for example, engineering, which are more individually based. In my life, one of the things that I have realized is that you have to learn where your strengths are. You have to learn where your leanings are. Because every time I've come across somebody who's successful or somebody who's doing really well in their life, that person is usually sat in their leaning. They're usually sat in an area of their gifting. They're usually doing something that they naturally are pretty good at. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, that they haven't developed their weaknesses or worked on their weaknesses, but the majority of their time they spend it with people. And actually what they do is that they structure their life, particularly their career, based on what their leaning is. So for example, if you are clearly turn around and you say, I find it really difficult connecting with people, I find it really difficult having conversations with people, I'm not really very good at asking questions, like I can't see myself every single day listening to people's problems, going in and listening to people complain about people. Like, Cass, that is my worst nightmare. Instead, I want to be the kind of person who works by myself. I have a project, I work on the project, I may be part of a team, and I want to do my section of the project and then hand it in. I don't want to be part of a team and I have to rely on people and do all of this and talk to them and collaborate with this person. I don't want to be that kind of person. If that's the kind of person you are, then this is probably not the role for you, right? The other thing that I think is really important is all of these roles are all very diverse roles, meaning that they change. These are not the kind of, like, for example, if you became a HR manager, that kind of a role, you're constantly in meetings, you're dealing with CEOs, you're dealing with directors, you're dealing with employees, you're in court. Like, that kind of a job is a very diverse job. I know that there is some people who prefer to be in the office and they know what they're going to be doing every single day. They have their building there and they just sit there. For example, it's the same for an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is going to be doing and creating and working on multiple different projects at the same time, right? Sometimes they may be working on this, but then that leads them to this, and then they start doing this. I know that a lot of people don't like that. There's a lot of people who I've had now 23 jobs in my life, and that means I've come across a lot of people. I've worked in Subways, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Co-op, Domino's, Pizza Hut, House of Fraser, Strada. Like, I've worked in a lot of, a lot of companies, and as a result, I've realized that there are some people who just want to do their part. They just want to come in. They don't want to be changing and doing this and then doing that and then doing it. It's just not their thing. So one of the things that you want to figure out for yourself is that the kind of person you are? By now, you've pretty much gained what I'm trying to get at here, which is that this is a decision you're going to have to make. As much as I can give you advice and other people can give you advice on the career that you should be doing, if you're a man, the source of manhood is responsibility. So in order to become a man, you need to start taking on responsibility. And one of the first responsibilities that you take on is when you start making choices about the direction of your life. I say to people all the time that there's certain areas of life where when you're operating in those areas, they're like bubbles. So for example, school is a bubble, university is a bubble, hospitals are bubbles, the army is a bubble. And the reason I say that is because in these areas, you're kind of protected. Everything is set out. Everything is systemized. Everything is very predictable. When you're in school, you know when you should be going on break. You know when you're going to get emails and told about when exams are, when you should revise. And what I have learned about life is that the moment that you finish formal education, you have to start making those decisions for yourself, right? The responsibility now lies on you. Now, in terms of your career, a lot of people tend to wait and choose what they do with their career after they leave university. But I think to give yourself an edge, start thinking about it now. Because here's what I'm going to tell you. I have interviewed thousands of people about their work and are they happy? How do they find their purpose? How do they find their job? And I would say, let's say I've interviewed, I'm just giving you a rough figure here. Let's say I've interviewed 1,000 people. I'd probably say 950 of those people are not in the careers that they went to university for, right? The degree that they took at university is not what they're doing today. It is a completely different area or a completely different arena. And part of that is because they kind of were going through the routine. They were doing what they were told. They were doing what everybody was doing. They wanted to have that experience of university. And they ranked up all of these thousands of pounds, but they didn't really know what they wanted to do. Part of it is because they didn't know about themselves. They never actually looked at themselves and said, actually, what do I like? And part of that is you may have to go and find out what you like. You may have to go and figure out a little bit about yourself, about what you're good at and what you're not good at. So one of the things, and again, this is up to you, but one of the things that I would recommend to you is to take one of the business, is to maybe look at taking the international business degree, because that allows you, number one, to work abroad. You'll be out of your comfort zone. You'll be learning loads of things about yourself, right? Because you can only learn about yourself in two ways. One is in relation to other people, and two, when you're out of your comfort zone. So when you're in a completely different country, in a completely different language to you, completely different culture, environment. You're going to learn so much about yourself. You're going to learn, like, for example, when you meet somebody and you can't use language to communicate, you have to learn about body language. That will teach you so much about how, if you do end up going in this any of these areas, you will end up learning so much about people. When are people lying to you? What kind of questions should you ask? You will actually be way more advanced than most people. But the other great thing is, when I was doing research on this, one of the things that I found is that there is a shortage of people, there's a shortage of managers with global perspective. So being able to study abroad gives you a great advantage over other people, because you can, if you're abroad, let's say you spend a year abroad, because a lot of these business degree these business management or international business degrees, you end up spending a year a year out in placement. And so if you end up going abroad, you may spend a year, you get to learn a different language. You get to experience it. You get to make incredible connections around the world. Also, one of the things that gets harder to do is it gets harder to find friends as you get older. You may be able to find your partner, right? It's really hard. I know that obviously it's probably a really weird thing for you to even start thinking about your partner. But I'm telling you this stuff because I've already seen what happens when people get to 30 and they're trying to find a partner, because they were just like all on study, study, study. I say to people all the time, the ideal time to meet your partner is around university, because that way you're gonna have, let's say you get married when you're 30, you're gonna have 10 years of learning about this person, of you building a life together. Now, people can change, circumstances can change, I get all that. But if you can be at university and find your spouse and they are on the same track as you and they want the same kinds of things as you, it allows you to build an incredible life together. Which is, again, I'm kind of slightly going off topic, but is something that you might want to think about. So all in all, to finish this off and to sort of conclude, the decision is up to you. It's up to you. You may even decide you don't want to go to university. I have found that if you were born after 2000, on average in your life, you're going to have anywhere between 8 and 14 jobs, based on what the research is telling us, right? You're going to change that much. Now, to give you a comparison to this, historically, most people have had one job and they've stayed in that job for the rest of their life. So obviously, this is a bit of a shock. This is a completely different new way of working, because now most companies should, because of the way the world is going, you've got the world is moving so fast. A lot of companies are not actually able to keep up with the rate of change. So a lot of companies are going bust. So if you may be a really good person and you may be really valuable and you may have an incredible degree, but that doesn't mean that you are going to that your company is necessarily going to be able to withstand the market and the economy and what's going on around the world. So you may have to change, you may have to reinvent yourself. But one of the other things as well that I want to finish off here with, which I think is really important, is a lot of people when they go to university, what they think is that the degree is the most important thing. Excuse me, that was my phone, somebody's messaged me. So a lot of people think that the degree is the most important thing. But ironically, here's what I'm going to tell you, because I've obviously been to a lot of interviews. Very, very rarely when I go to an interview do people ask about my CV. Do you know what they ask about? Tell us about your life story. Tell us about what you're interested in. Tell us what your hobbies are. Tell us about obstacles you've overcome. Tell us about how you've worked with other people. In other words, a company is much more much more concerned with who you are as a person, right? And the life curve that you're on and the experience that you've had. Why? Because they know that if somebody is open-minded, if somebody's creative, if somebody's willing to reinvent themselves, that means that person, it doesn't matter what project the company gives them, they're going to be able to adapt and are going to be able to attack it. And specifically in the area that you want to go in, it is so important that you're somebody who is able to adapt, somebody who's able to change and work in a really fast, quick environment, which I'm telling you, a lot of people can't. I've worked in 23 jobs, and I can assure you, most people hate change. They don't like it when management change anything. They don't like it when they're having to do new roles. They don't like it when their job description changes. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. In fact, I've been in companies where people have been there for like 10 years and they've quit just because their job is requiring them to do something else. So if you look at yourself and you observe yourself and you're that kind of person, then it's going to tell you a little bit about you. But also the other thing is, look at if you've been working, let's say you've been working in Tesco's or Sainsbury's or somewhere since you were like 16, look at those jobs. What have you learned about yourself? Like, think, right? That's what I'm talking about. Think about your life and actually start making decisions based on what you know about you. Because a lot of people just make decisions not based on what they've learned about themselves, but what they think they should be doing. No, look at yourself, observe yourself. Do you like working in a fast? Do you think, based on working in a fast environment, you like it? If you don't know, then go and speak to somebody. Dad, can I ask you, is your environment fast-paced? If you don't know, speak to your best friends. If you know that one of your best friends, their dad is works in, I don't know, or really is an accountant or something like that, or you ask them. Or you may not even know what their dad does. So why don't you start asking your friends? By the way, Ben, what does your dad do? Like, all the answers that you need are within reach. The question is, are you proactive? Are you somebody who's going to go out there and seek them? Or are you somebody who's going to be reactive? Are you going to be somebody who's submissive and are going to wait for answers to come to you? I hope I'm going to leave it there. I hope that's been useful. I hope that can add some value to the quality of your life. I don't know if it has or not. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support me get to 1,000 subscribers by June, please can you like and subscribe to my channel? You would be an absolute legend. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.